Unstuck with Misfits Unplugged, the podcast that celebrates the journey of career rebels who have overcome challenge, blazed their own paths, and came out the other side winning. Today, we have Courtney Thomas, a fitness consultant. He's driven by inspiring people to live a healthier and stronger lifestyle, has been certified in the industry for over 8 years, including certifications in personal training, nutrition coaching, and TRX. He lives a plant-based lifestyle and specializes in functional movement that help fortify the body's foundation, and also an overall incredible guy. And I'm excited to give him the platform to share his story today. So Courtney, why don't you start us from the beginning? Like, where and how did you go on this healthy lifestyle?
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that intro. I feel like so warm right now. Hold on.
Warm and fuzzy?
Okay.
That's what I aim to do. I give everyone warm and fuzzy.
Thank you. How did I start? This is okay. So I started on my journey. I want to say, well, my daughter's 15. So I want to say like around the time she was born, probably a little bit before that. I was working out with a buddy of mine, and we were just doing just regular uneducated things that like two guys would do in like their basement gym, but at the same time, that's like it's a foundation. I think back on those times so often. So I don't want to like minimize that time. But yeah, I started off there and I was just doing whatever. My daughter was born and I tore my ACL, like kind of around in a similar era. I When my daughter was born, I really had this overwhelming feeling that I just needed to be better, honestly. Like in health wise, it was even more so health wise. I really just wanted to be around for her as long as I can, as long as I could. And I wanted to like be an example for her, honestly, to help to bring her up the right way. So I just started taking working out and my health a little bit more serious. I started going to a gym. Things just kind of just took off, honestly. And I was doing well and I made these changes to my body and my friends started to see it and people around me started to see it. And they're asking me all these questions like, what do you do? And how do how are you doing this? And what can you recommend? And I'm giving people advice away, because I'm just wanting to help other people. I'm just trying to help other people do the same thing I was doing. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, wait, me giving all this advice away and feeling like this is something that I really, really am good at. Maybe I should become a personal trainer. And I got certified. A couple months after I got certified, I started working at the gym that I met you at. And it really is just like, yeah, it took off, honestly.
Yeah. So when we chatted, you had mentioned, so I did meet you when I was working in the city closer to you. And that's how I can attest like how transformational the coaching, the mindset, the support, and everything that you provide. Life took me in a different direction. Now I'm back to being not the healthiest, but this is inspiring me. Like I mentioned, did some yoga right before this. So I feel
Yes, I love that.
harnessing the Courtney energy this morning before I got on this call. But COVID happened in 2020. And how did that change your path of your company? Like, how did you pivot?
Yeah, COVID, crazy time. I think of COVID in such a weird sense because as devastating and as horrible a time that COVID was, it really was a time for my business that like it kind of just changed a lot of things that kind of helped me elevate. So COVID happens, it was like the gyms just shut down. There was no like, there was no meeting that we had like, hey, it was just like there yesterday, the next day, don't even bother coming in. So like, I had a whole lot of clients who needed to still work out and wanted to still work out. I found out what Zoom was very quickly. I had never heard of Zoom until COVID came. Like it was just anyway. So I found out what Zoom was really quickly. I, got an account and I just started training all my clients virtually. It was so weird because I had actually thought of virtual training before COVID happened. Like I mentioned it to clients, like, hey, I want to go on a vacation, but we can still train while I'm away, or not even a vacation, a trip, anywhere. I'm like, but we can still train. And people were like, that's not happening. Why would I do that? I'm like, yeah, well, just FaceTime. It'll be cool. Nah. But then when COVID happened, everybody's like, yeah, so I got this Zoom account, send me the link and all of this, right? So it really just opened up that avenue, which was so pivotal because it allowed, not just myself, all trainers, it allowed us this level of flexibility that we had never had before. I could never keep in contact and train my clients when I went away out of the country or to another state. It kept trainers very centralized, but it allowed us this level of freedom. And with that, during COVID, now I was able to actually boost my business because now I was able to train people from all over the country, all over the world, United States and other countries. It's like, it's just been so crazy. Like I said, even though the time was a scary time, yeah, my business just really took off, and it allowed me to not only leave the gym that I was working with, but then when the gyms opened back up, there was no reason for me to go back to the gym. Like, not, it was like, what, huh? They were like, yeah, so you can. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna do my own thing. So yeah, it was a fabulous time for my business, for Fitstreet. And from there I've been able to just continue to grow and to take it to different levels that honestly, virtual training and that part of time has really just allowed me to flourish. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah, it really
mhm.
has.
That's true for almost all businesses. But it's good
Mm,
that you got on that wave because it's a lot of people that just kind of like wouldn't adapt, right?
exactly, exactly, exactly. A lot of people kept in there. A lot of people stayed still. They didn't open up. I had a lot of clients, for as many clients who were like, yeah, send me a Zoom link. We'll train virtually. I still had the clients who were like, no, I can't work out if it's not at a gym. And I'm just like, it's only a building. Like,
Well, to that
like you,
point, well, to that point, because I've been listening to your story, and I always find it really interesting because my father was like a health nut, so to speak, right? And I noticed, with people who have that there's a certain mindset, a certain discipline that they have that not only are they able to apply it to themselves, but they're able to cheer other people on and get other people to that level. So my next question would be how much of what you do is mindset, so to
mm,
speak, in terms
yeah.
of how you prep yourself and how you prep your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good question. Everything. It's everything. It's all mindset. And it's not something that you do that's easy. Some people can develop it, some people just will never get it, but there are ways to cultivate it. I would say for myself, I'm not gonna take all the credit. I think that my mom and my dad had a large part in just like my level of thinking. And like, we don't have the same, we think differently on a lot of things. I just think when I bring it to like the core foundation of it, the way they taught me to think and just like the will to do things, I totally get that from my mom and dad. So like, I have to give them all the credit when it comes to that. But I was able to kind of channel what I got from them and then put it into more of my lifestyle. Because not many people in my family aren't really like into fitness and into health and things like that. So that was one thing. It's like you have to break the mold of like, now I'm the child that's like plant based, and like I'm coming to the house and my mom's like, you
Mhm.
don't want none of this pot roast, it's like so you have to break that, right? And then you have to break among your friend groups where now you go out and you're not doing the same things and you're not. So the mindset is always there. It's a level of discipline that I feel like, I don't want to say you have it or you don't, but you have to be open to change, to adapt.
Mhm.
um and you yeah, it's hard to like put it all into words because one thing I was thinking about before the show, when I was thinking about things I wanted to say, I really wanted to convey to everybody that there's no antidote to this, right? What I'm saying, it works for me, right? But and like,
Mhm.
I can say a bunch of things that work for me, and Brandy, you listening, Isabel, you listening, you might say, oh, okay, well, I know I will never do that, but this right here, that works for me, or this right here, that works for me, you know? So definitely you have to be able to kind of like take from everywhere and not just follow one mindset. And I think for me, my life, a lot of like the environments I've been in through childhood, growing up, I think being in so many different random places and situations has really benefited me in my mental discipline, in my patience, which I feel like as a
Mm.
trainer, if patience, you want to know what makes a trainer good, honestly, patience. That is the number one thing. And if you're not a patient person and you're like watching this and you're like, hey, I think I might want to be a trainer or a coach of some sort. If you're not a patient person, I'm just gonna give you a tip. Find another, find something else to do, because it's gonna, like, you could do it, but you're gonna be somebody who's gonna be very miserable. But that's the discipline of like understanding that's what I needed to do. Understanding that like I needed to have something different than other trainers. Right.
Mhm.
That time that I was in the gym, Isabel, when we used to train, I was so watching everybody. I would just be looking like everything. I could tell you some things I probably watched that you'd be like, really, you were looking at that? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm a very observant, and I like all the things that I see, I like to put it into my brain. I always tell people I collect data all the time. It's just data coming in. When I talk to people, oh, let me tell you about your experience. Data, data. Because then
Mhm.
when I talk to somebody else, I can say, hey, I know this happened with somebody. Not that this, one size fits all, but I can like draw on other people's experience.
Mm.
And yeah, these are all I'm going off, but like these are all things that help
I
me
love
become a
it.
better
Yeah,
trainer,
no, I
honestly.
can
Yeah.
agree.
So
When we were in the gym, first of all, as a member, you would see the most bizarre people, things. Like I still remember there was a man like working out in a full suit and like working out,
yes.
and another guy with like Tim's on, like completely like big bubble jacket and like
That
looking
is
out
New
the
York.
window, like working out. And then like
That is
I'm
New
supposed to
York.
keep a straight face
So
and
New
listen
York.
to Courtney tell me to do the circuit of misery. And I'm like, but you're not seeing this guy right here? Like, we're not gonna acknowledge this
That's
man.
craziness.
And that was like some of the like slight things. There were definitely like, and I can only imagine some of the conversations also I hear people talking about at the gym, and you're like, what are you saying? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
so
it's
you
true.
mentioned plant-based though. So for anyone like me that's like envisioning you eating like flowers, what does that
Oh my goodness.
consist of? What is the
Like this is
plant-based
not
diet?
yeah,
You're
it's
just
not
like,
1995 anymore, people. Like it's not just tofu and rice cakes, okay? It's like there's a whole life out here of plant-based goodness. But yeah, for plant-based for me, and I'll just give you a little bit of background on it. I maybe started maybe I want to say 7 years ago. I always every time somebody asks me, I forget. But yeah, I started off like a lot of people watched the documentary, decided that like I wanted to make some changes and progressively got myself to plant based in the healthiest way that I felt that I could. I allowed myself a lot of grace. I'll tell anybody that you don't have to do things cold turkey, you know, allow yourself some
Mhm.
grace. But if that's something that you want to do, I'm in full support of you. But for me, I mean, I eat good, Isabel. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I don't feel
Mhm.
like I'm missing out on anything. I have some great meals. When people come over to my place, I feed you. That's just how I am. And like I've made people who are not plant based some really good meals. Just saying. So
Mhm.
yeah, I eat good.
so
And
what does it
so
consist of? So I've seen you cooking
Oh,
on
I'm sorry.
TikTok and different variations of things. So, but plant-based is just you're avoiding any kind of like all meats altogether,
Yes.
or is there
Yeah.
specific types of things that you're like fish?
Okay. Yeah. So I don't eat any meat. No, like, so no meat, no animal, no living thing. Right? Do I eat? And I don't eat any like things that they make. So like no milk. Um, I stopped drinking
eggs.
cow's milk a while ago. Yeah, no eggs, no cheese. So yeah, I'm like fully either vegetables or like grains or yeah, fruits. Obviously, yeah, that's
Mhm.
me.
Yeah. No, so you have great energy. That's a great
Yeah.
lifestyle. I aspire to
He
get
just
there.
X'd out my entire kitchen, by the way.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I
So
think that after that, I think that maybe there's no, that box is
it would
too
have to be a
For
slow burn for
sure. Not
me.
inviting you over for dinner.
Well, the first question that I was going to have is, are we going to get like the Courtney cookbook
Yeah.
at some
Oh
point?
wow. You know what? That's obviously that's something that I really should consider doing.
You should
I
do that.
honestly, I really should. And I never even really thought of it, but it's not that hard.
It's
Ebooks are
very
Not
easy.
easy
not saying that
nowadays.
it's easy. I'm just saying like I could whip up a few recipes and share my
Sell it as
nutritional
part of your
advice with people,
package,
right?
and
Yeah, but
yeah.
you're knowledgeable also, like avoid this to avoid inflammation. Like
That's
every
what I'm
Mhm.
time I
saying.
had one of my many ailments, you were like, well, do this and do that and get turmeric
Yeah,
and
yeah,
add
yeah.
this to this. And I still do those things
Exactly.
today.
Oh,
So
so
all of
Oh,
that
so
you
did
being
my
remember Isabel? That makes me feel
yes,
so
I still have
good.
I still get all these different and try different smoothies and juices, and they make me feel really good, especially now that I'm not feeling too great today.
Oh,
Joey's on it
that's
too, my
awesome.
husband, doing different smoothies and juices, and so we
That's
still
Mhm.
we
great.
listen to you. They worked.
That's great. I love it. That's great.
So one of
Listen,
the
for everybody, I gotta just bring this up. Not I because I have to talk about this, Isabel, because about how wonderful a person you are.
Oh.
Me and Isabel have a not just trainer client relationship.
Mhm.
Isabel invited me to her wedding. That was a very special moment for me. And I don't take that
Yeah.
lightly, Isabel. I really don't.
Yeah, because
We have a
it was a
very good
like you
relationship.
mentioned about mindset. Like you were so pivotal at that moment in my life of like helping us, keeping us like because you were training Joey and I
Mhm.
to stay motivated, to stay positive and just stay upbeat. And it became such a lifestyle. That's why I hear you talk about
Love
mindset and
that.
I reflect back to 2016, 17, 18. Like my mindset was so different. I was waking up
Mhm.
at 5 in the morning, getting to the gym at 7, doing the training, getting a shower,
Hmm.
I'm
running to work,
trying.
sometimes going back in the evening because
I
it
hear
felt
you.
so when you're doing it consistently though, your mind, your body, your energy, your
Everything
focus,
Yeah.
follows.
And you're
Mhm.
in it.
you're
You're
in it.
in the whirlwind. So you realize like, wow, I'm doing all this, but that whirlwind's going. So you're just like going with the
It's a
whirlwind.
good
Then
yeah.
when you stop, it's hard to get back in that whirlwind. But like once you're in it, you're in
And
Yeah.
that's where I struggle now because and Brandy are both entrepreneurs, working 9 to 5s, mom, like
it.
that juggling act we're doing all day, it's kind of the last
Hmm.
thing, the ball that always gets dropped is health. So that
Yeah,
was actually
yourself.
going to be my next question was from a male perspective though, like how do you balance it all and being a dad?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm gonna be very honest. I am a selfish person. That is- no. That's not really true.
Most men are.
Well, his daughter's name is Courtney. So
All right, that was not my idea, but yes, her name is Courtney. Okay. No, but
Amazing.
when I say I'm selfish, it's in a way, and I had this conversation. This reminds me of a conversation I had with one of my friends. We've had it more than once, and he has two kids, and like he's always asking me, hey, like how can I like make changes? I want to work out. I want to do these. I want to do that. And he's like, but I got my boys, and I got this, and I got that, and I'm like, this is always the example. I've heard this on social media lately, but I've been saying this for a while. That's not to get credit for it, but just saying. When you're on the airplane, oxygen drops. What do they tell you?
To
Put
put
the
on your
oxygen
mask
mask
first.
on you first, then the next person, right? And like I say that to some people, and they're like, "No, what are you mad? I'm going to put it on my child first, right?" I'm not. That's fine. That's fine. If the oxygen mask drops, I'm gonna put it on me first, and then I'm going right to my daughter because I have to be right for her to be right, and that's
Mhm.
just how it goes for me. So when I have all these things going, and like you said, being a dad, working, all these things, right? Because a lot of people think that because I'm a trainer, like working out is just it's so easy.
Mhm.
Like I think they
Mhm.
think that like you work out with your clients, and that's not how it goes, right? So like you still have to find time for yourself throughout all of this. And for me, it's just really knowing that I'm always gonna set time for me first. Like it's non-negotiable for me at this point. Because for me to be there for my daughter, I have to be right. For me to give my clients the best experience and for me to, have this energy and wear a smile, even when I'm tired, and even when they're complaining, and even when
Mhm.
they're, all of that, I have to take care of me first. Because if I'm right, they're gonna be right. If I have my energy right, then that exchange of energy that they're gonna get from me is gonna be right. So, like I said, for me and for my life, for my lifestyle, for my business, I have to take care of me first, always. That's just how, like I said, it's always gonna be like that.
And you involve her in some of your working out. So I see some of your videos that she is actually like in your lifestyle too. Like
Yeah,
you got her in there where she's enjoy. It looks like she's enjoying it. Maybe behind the scenes,
yeah,
she's like, "Yeah,"
a
but
little
she
bit,
looks like
You
she's
Joe
a little bit.
enjoying
Jackson?
Some
it.
You
days,
Joe Jackson over there?
masa menos, like it's sometimes it's, but no, she does enjoy it, and I'm glad you brought that up. Me and her, we'll FaceTime. I have me in my living room, she's in her room, and we do jump rope workouts together. We do
Mhm.
regular workouts together, all, via FaceTime. Whenever we can, we don't live in the same area, but whenever we're with each other, we try to do things together. She started playing basketball in 8th grade, and now she's in high
Mhm.
school. She's still playing, so we do basketball workouts together. It, she, I, but everything with her was, I tried to be very careful not to force it.
Mhm.
When I found out I was having a child, and I was like, the prospect of a boy, like every man, you're like, you're gonna be playing basketball, football. She's gonna be playing sports, right? And it's like I was ready. I was ready, and I'm like, we're gonna work out, all that stuff. And my daughter was born. She got of age. I'm like, Courtney, you want to play? You want to
Mhm.
play this? And she's like, no, daddy, I don't want to play anything. Like,
Yeah.
I want to paint. That was her thing when she was younger. I want to paint. I'm gonna be an artist. I'm like, all
No.
right, I'm with the vibes. Got her
Mhm.
canvas, all the things she need. And then she got to 8th grade, and she called me. She said, Dad, I want to play basketball. Put the phone on mute. Say yes.
That's so cute.
Yeah, but we do a lot of things together. Try to be active, and not just her. Even with my family, with my niece, with my nephew. We hold group workouts. Part of what I want to do as part of just me and my brand, or whatever you want to call it. I hate the word brand, but I know that's something that we gotta
Mhm.
have, right? Is community. That is like very important to me. So like for me, if I feel like I have all this great information and great energy, and this secret to life that I'm feeling great about, and I'm not sharing it with other people, I'm not involving other people, and it's like, well, what am I really doing? So I try to
Mhm.
make things as accessible as possible to everybody in my media circle, and to pretty much a lot of people. And that's why I put so much things I put out on social media, the posts that I make. I'm just trying to knowledge share. If you take it,
Mhm.
you take it. If not, but I want it to be available to everybody, because certain things really shouldn't have to pay for.
Mhm.
Knowledge on your health, how to be a better person, that should not be something that we really should be paying for. It should be common knowledge, if you ask me. But
Mhm.
that's the world we live in. So there goes that.
It's such a good interview because
Thank you.
because you already anticipate what others might already want to know, and you answer the question that I have in my head. So you took my mojo,
I'm
and
sorry.
now I'm gonna flip the question a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So given that obviously going back to COVID, you know, everybody is kind of gone sort of online, and I'm sure that there's a bunch of trainers. I know because I see it on my timeline. Like everybody
Mhm.
is doing something. Every trainer is branding themselves in some way. What challenges are you facing with trying to stand out, or niche yourself, in comparison to some of the other people that you may have to fight for
Yeah, yeah.
business
No,
with?
you're right. Listen, this is a great, great question. It's a great question. Um, yeah. At this point of my career, I think that standing out for me, like personally, I don't think that that's what I need to do,
Mhm.
because I think that I stand out after I get after I start training with somebody. That's my time to like stand out. Before the time I can just be consistent, you see what you get. But I think with social media, the problem is, and maybe it's not a problem, but this is the thing that I don't like about it, right? Is that everybody's trying to stand out. So
Mm-hmm.
like, because everybody's trying to stand out, things just get more crazy and crazier and like at my age, I don't have time to do that anymore. Like I don't want to be flipping on my head and like dancing with dumbbells in my hand just so somebody will
In the
like,
middle of the street and
you
Brooklyn,
know,
everyone is
like
dancing and doing.
yeah, like I don't need to be doing all of this with weights. So yeah, I think that. But one thing I do want to do, I think that I can give an answer to this, is I want to let the information that I have, the knowledge that I have, shine through. So one of the things that I want to start doing is like, especially on my TikTok, is doing more instructional videos, informative videos,
Mhm.
how-to videos. You know, like,
Yeah.
oh hey, you want to learn how to jump rope? Try this. Or especially with TRX, which this is those I love it. You know, doing more how-to and instructional videos on TRX and more workouts for that. So like, I feel like that is the thing that makes me stand out because I feel like, the things that I do, the way that I work out, my attention to detail and form and all those things, that is like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about,
Mhm.
without all of the hoopla and dancing and all that stuff.
So when you and I chatted, we talked a little bit about like when you were in the gym, how you had to overcome discrimination and any perceived preconceived notions about personal trainers. So I want to know if like as you build your practice and maybe, one day and I'm sending these vibes to you, you build your own practice, you have people under you. How are you changing, I guess, the industry or like you mentioned community and what you
Hmm.
see people who are focusing on personal health in this day and age?
Yeah, I feel like how I've always looked at training, and because of like how I got my start into training, which, like as I mentioned, was really because I wanted to help people.
Mhm.
I, I feel like it's always been a battle for me. In like when I had to work at a gym, I worked in maybe like two or three different gyms. And the thing about working in a gym is that you have to understand you're working for a business. Point blank, period. At the end of the day, gym, they want to make money and they have numbers they want to meet and reach and all these things. And for me, that just wasn't what I cared about. I cared about my clients and like them getting results and, being somebody who could be respected and like trusted. That's another important thing for trainers.
I
If
like
you're
that.
watching your trainer trust, it's very important. Your name is everything as a trainer, and it's very easy to become fill in the blank kind of trainer. You don't want to be that in a negative way. You want to
Mhm.
be positive. So, just to people who are watching who might be thinking about training, how you carry yourself, your honesty, and then people being able to trust you, super important. So my thing was that I have to establish quality, right? I want my clients to be able to, number one, say, okay, this is a person who I know what they're talking about. Number two, this person, actually, number one is really this is a person who I trust. And the reason, let me just bring up the reason why I talk about trust. The reason I bring up trust when it comes to trainers is because if you want to be able to train everyone, right? If you want to have, if you want to be inclusive and be able to train everyone, the level of trust is because you're going to be working in some very compromising, intimate, hardcore sessions with people. And to be a trainer who, a partner might say, well, I heard about this person. I don't think they're the right person or they're a little skeevy or anything like that.
Yeah.
That takes off a whole client base of a person. So that's why I mentioned trust. I just want to get that out of the way. But going back to the gym, I really wanted to make sure that I was somebody, like I said, who could be trusted, who people knew what they were talking about. The problem that I had running into with the gym that I work for was I had clients who I were training for 3 years, 4 years, continuously. And they wanted, give us more, send out more emails, send out more. And I'm like, why do I need to do this kind of work? I'm right. Like, I don't need to do that. I already have my clientele base, but it was all because of numbers, right? Because even though you're bringing in this consistent revenue every month, we want to see more numbers in this area, which to me, I didn't need to have numbers there if I was already bringing in the consistent revenue. So it was just the ideology. I never fit in with gym ideology. And I guess that made the point of COVID when I had to stop working at the gym. I guess that's what made it so easy to like not want to go back, because now I had established so many relationships and felt so comfortable in just like the clientele base that I had, cultivated and like kind of just, taken care of this whole time over COVID. I didn't feel the need to go back to the gym and to have to go back to subject myself to that negativity. It's negativity if you.
Yeah.
I don't need it. Yeah.
So, I mean, we usually like to end, Courtney, with like, what advice would you give yourself? Like the guy that was in the basement doing the sketchy working out, or in the beginning of your career, or any point, your younger self, like where you are today and the confidence and what you know, like what would be that like words of wisdom that you would, share to anyone in that space?
Yeah, I would say learn. There's a acronym. Isabel, I may have told you this before. It's an acronym that I was told, and like I literally think that this is one of the greatest things you could do. All right, the acronym is FLAC, FLAC, right? And it stands for focus, learn, apply, and challenge. And I think that if anybody takes that model, if you're in a point and you're like starting off with something and you have aspirations, do that. You focus. Number one, you got to focus, and that you got to clear things out your head so that you have the bandwidth to for the task at hand. And after you focus, then that allows you to be able to learn. And when you learn, now I learned something. Now I can start to apply that to me, to yourself personally, or to whoever. And once you apply things, now I can start to challenge myself and like get out of my comfort zone because I know the basics. And those are my words of wisdom for anybody, right? Like just focus on something. And it's hard for us to focus. The world that we live in does not make it easy because there's social media, 5, 10, 15-second clips every second, right? Things are just constantly spinning and going. But if you can like get past that and like really get into yourself, you can meditate and really focus in on, what it is that you want to do, and then be open to knowledge and to like constantly learning about things. I think that anybody will be golden. And I mean, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. But these are the things that like I try to help people with, those 4 things, because if you can like establish the right pattern, if you can establish the right kinetic energy between those 4 things, unstoppable.
So like everybody else, where can we find you? I want to know where I can find you, what services you offer, and all that good stuff.
Thank you. So I was thinking about this also before we started, and I everybody probably wants to get on here and promote their website, which I do have a website. I'm gonna be so honest, it's not where I want it to be. So like, but it is there. Yeah, my TikTok is CL_Fitstreet, FITSTREET. Maybe y'all will get the little, I don't know. That'd
all
be cool if y'all did.
On how to contact you will be in the description of the episode.
All right, cool.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I have everything.
And I also have Instagram. My Instagram is the same handle. So my TikTok and Instagram are both the same. Those are like pretty much where you'll find me at the most active. And like I'm from there you'll see, but I have YouTube and things like that, but those are where I'm like I said, the most active. So that's where I would say to focus in on, and then you'll see me the most for sure and hear me the most.
Well, thank you, Courtney. Some of the other things that I know that we've seen throughout the years is your one-on-one coaching, the boot camps that you do. You also come into companies and do programs for different companies for their health and wellness events. So I'm going to include all the information of how to contact you in the description. We thank you incredibly a whole lot for coming on today. We appreciate all your words of wisdom. So thank you guys.
No problem. Thank you for having me. I appreciate both of you. It was so